Welcome to the Insane Gratitude Podcast, Episode 1. This is Ed Kravitz with Dr. Beck and Donis Gil. We're here to educate you on the different types of dementia, primary or secondary, and actually provide a resource. As I had a close family member in 2019, my why is my family member had a 140 plus IQ, 2 master's degree. I finished over 90% of PA school. And in October 2019, I was coming off the rugby pitch at the Coast Guard Academy. It was a rainy, balmy day. I think it just burst out in tears. And my close family member said, at 55 years old, I got diagnosed with Early-Onset dementia. And we both couldn't find one website that educated you on all the different types of primary or secondary dementia, where to find outside the box treatment, and to see if that treatment was effective for that type of dementia they had, or would it harm them, or what trials that they were looking at. So in my entrepreneurial journey, I bumped into both Dr. Beck, bumped into Charles Werler from Aspen Laser, and Charles gave me a few functional medicine doctors. One of them was Dr. Beck, I knew. And my close family picked Dr. Hidayah out of Johns Hopkins. And 6 years later, this October, they still know their family names. They were told they wouldn't recognize their family in less than a year. And my why is to be able to provide the resources that my family had access to other people. Because if you go into your doctor's office, they were told to take the pill. They wouldn't use hyperbaric chamber or UV sauna. They wouldn't look at inflammation or stuff like that. They wouldn't have the resources my family member had, a hyperbaric chamber, UV sauna, and they wouldn't realize that chronic Lyme actually causes dementia-related illness. And the functional medicine doctor, they try to reverse all the different types of dementia or the causes of dementia. And if my close family member took that pill 6 years ago, within a year, they wouldn't have recognized their family. So I want to provide those type of resources for any different type of dementia so that anyone's family member could have the same possible outcome that my close family had. And the other problem is that functional medicine isn't recognized by insurance. So my close family member spent north of $200,000 when most families don't even have $1,000 to an outside the box treatment. So our goal on the Insane Gratitude website, Insane Gratitude Podcast, is we were initially thinking to set up a nonprofit, but our accountant Mike told us decided to set up a for-profit, because when you set up a nonprofit, most of the proceeds of the nonprofit get eaten up from accounting and auditing process. So we're doing the same thing, but we're going to donate the money back to nonprofits that support our mission for both dementia, and even we're adding mental health to the equation, since they go hand in hand together. And Donis and Dr. Beck joined in because they have experiences also in this field. And you don't know you have a problem until you don't have the resources available at your fingertips. So Donis and Dr. Beck, you guys could go next and tell your story and how you became involved in the Insane Gratitude Podcast, Insane Gratitude website, and my crazy idea at the time to help the world, mental health and dementia, when people told me that this was too big a task to tackle and that I was basically insane for trying to help people.
Right. Okay, Ed, thank you very much. That was a wonderful introduction. I'm very excited to be here today to kick off this wonderful podcast that we've been putting together now, I suppose, over the last 6 months or so, something like that. Now, when I knew we were going to do this today, I tried to remember back when we first got involved. I think, was it like 10 or 12 years ago we first got involved, something like that?
Yes, it was with Aspen Laser.
That's right. Yes.
No, it wasn't Aspen Laser. It was the other laser company, Multi-Radiance Medical at the time.
Multi-Radiance, yes, exactly. Multi-Radiance, that's right.
Because Doug from Multi-Radiance, even though they didn't have a course on the platform right away, he said, Ed, you could help Dr. Beck create his courses at the time.
And so I think one of the things we should do is, just so that the audience realizes what you actually do. So you have a program where you put courses on the internet, and this was totally innovative back when you started this.
Yes.
And so that's what, Doug was talking about when he said you could put my courses on your program. And that's what we eventually did. And I'll just also state that none of these companies we're talking about we're not promoting any of them. It's just as we are trying to get the history of how this came together, these are the people that sort of were involved. And so putting forward any, what's the word I'm looking for? We're not endorsing them or anything like that by mentioning their names. I just want to make clear, because one of the reasons I'm involved with you guys is because of your ethics and because of your integrity. Okay. So you are like two of the most honest, forthright people that I've ever been involved with. And so that's one of the reasons why I got involved with this. But the other main reason is that when you started talking about dementia, because I know that you were passionate about this even way back when we first started, back 10 years ago or 12 years ago. And I started looking into dementia now and how I can get information about dementia. It was a total quagmire information where you have a lot of disinformation, a lot of misinformation, all kinds of stuff out there. And so what I do is I apply neuroplasticity techniques to help people get their brains restored back to where they should be. And that's why dementia is very important to me also, as from a clinical point of view. And just going through, trying to sort through all of the, like I said, misinformation and disinformation that's out there. Most of the stuff is motivated by advertising or motivated by making money somehow. And what I think we got together to sort of try to plow through all that and to give people, shine the bright light, what do they say? Shine the sunshine on stuff and remove all the, the glitter and clatter that's stopping people from understanding how to get the right information that they need. So that's really what we're going to try and do, I think, here, is to really shine the light on all of the disinformation and misinformation, try to give people honest information that we believe is true and that we have done the research and looked into, and potentially even stuff that's not mainstream, but outside of the mainstream, so that we can help people and guide them to where they can get the best help and the most help. Is that fair?
Yep.
That's fair.
All right. Excellent. Okay, Donis, up to you now.
I'm very happy to be here. A little bit about my background. I'm an athletic trainer like Ed. I've been working in the rehab space with a physical therapy company for a long time. But my side interest and thing that I dabble on the side and spend a lot of time on is technology and helping people solve problems. Actually, quick history, myself and Ed, I met Ed back about 10 years ago now. And it was funny because he was similar to Dr. Beck. He was offering me the opportunity to put courses on his platform. And at the time, the platform that he had, I was like, I liked his persistence because he was great at following up and keeping in touch, which is one of the things I admire about Ed. When he's passionate about something, he follows up and makes sure that it happens. And to his credit, this is why this podcast is happening now. He's been consistent about making sure that this is something that comes to fruition and starts to add value to people that need it. Long story short, we met back then. I joked around and told him, I was like, I like you, I like your persistence, but I'm not a big fan of your original course site. Then flash forward to about 2020, Ed gave me a call and said, hey, I'm looking to revamp the course site and start again from scratch. And so I decided to kind of join him in that endeavor and help make that something that adds value for people as well. But as we kind of been working together and building that site, we still had this idea that Ed kept coming back to of making sure that we're adding value to people that are suffering with this types of diseases. I myself have been affected by the dementia and Alzheimer's from a close family member as well. So I know how difficult it could be to get that news and see your loved one go from being here and being active and involved to barely unrecognizable or not being able to communicate with them and basically them being a shell of their former self. So if anything that we can do to help people either prevent themselves from getting into that situation or any way that we can support people on how to deal with being in that situation, because my family didn't have all the resources up front. had to find out a lot of the stuff through like third parties, and you don't expect this stuff when it happens. So our goal here with this podcast is to make sure that we're giving you as many resources and information as possible that we can source and provide to you guys, not only through the podcast, but also through our Insane Gratitude Forever website. So for those of you who are listening to us, we do have a website called insanegratitude.com where we're planning to put all of the resources that we compile and put together, including episodes from this podcast, as well as educational videos, resources from current and past research, functional medicine options for people. Our goal is to also compile some doctors and resources that people can reach out to, along with giving people opportunity to get additional help where needed. And this is all happening because you had a vision and a passion to make this happen. So give it back to you.
We're basically creating, we couldn't find one website that it had everything on one website. So I was referred to someone that was involved with FDD. Their family had FDD. They were an athletic trainer, and they referred me to one of their chapters in Massachusetts. And they praised me for my enthusiasm, which means they didn't want to help me to work together. So that's when I looked at my resume. I had to update my resume. And it was like 5 or 6 years. I went back to my account. I said, Mike, first I went to Donis and Dr. Beck, and I said, we need to do this. And we figured out we're going to map primary or secondary dementia, put videos out there, and then start the podcast. And we're going to go as we go. And it's going to grow by people's input into the thing and how they want to help. And since it wasn't going to be a huge lift to get it off the ground, thanks to both of your hard work, I said, Mike, we need to work on creating the company, give us options. And moving forward, we want to build that one resource for people to be on one resource, and then find the charities or the organizations that support mental health and dementia and sponsor them directly from the proceeds that we make. And part of the Insane Gratitude podcast would have a chat feature to have a community of people to be able to communicate with each other and ask questions in the community, which I think is very powerful, that aspect, because part of the website was to provide free caregiver education every step along the way, which I think is very powerful, because you don't know what you need until you're there, and sometimes it's too late. Sort of like one of the ideas was for navigating probate court. One is setting up a living will, living trust, which are potential future episodes on our site. They're not going to go in order. We're just going to, these are some things we want to educate people on. And like some things are in our conversation is, what is dementia? We had a conversation, Dr. Beck and Donis, a few months ago, is all memory loss dementia. And people think they watch TV and they see an ad on TV and you need to take Prevagen to preserve your mental health. And they're trying to make money off people's mental decline. But do you really need to take Prevagen when you have memory loss? I don't know. But the fact is, there's mental game, acuity stuff you could do above and beyond before you need Prevagen that people don't know. So those are some of the things, Donis and Dr. Beck, you could outline some other things we want to help people with on the website moving forward.
One thing that I want to say is, obviously we're embarking on a pretty heavy lift in terms of compiling all the resources that we could put together. So I want to make sure that people bear with us. We're going to start adding resources onto the site as we come across them. And we're here with an open ear to hear from you guys. Whatever you think you need, any kind of questions or stuff that you're looking for right now that you haven't been able to find, our goal is to be able to help you find those resources and then make it available on the site so that we have that source for anyone that's looking for information and guidance during that type of time. So our goal is to kind of take it one step at a time, put content together that will help people at all different stages of the process, from preventative resources and information to what to do when you find out or get diagnosed, what to do at different levels and stages, and obviously, like Ed was saying, what to do in worst case scenario as well. So we want to make sure we're giving you stuff that prepares you for all different levels, whether you're the one being affected or a close family member or friend is being affected as well.
I think it's also important for everyone to realize, send us your thoughts and what you would like to hear about, because we're, obviously starting off with what we think is important, but really this is all about what you think is important. So if you is there going to be some kind of a comment section below this, Donis, as we go?
So for the podcast, there's comment sections in all the different podcast platforms. So like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, they have comment sections and ways to comment. So we're going to keep an eye out on feedback and comments from you guys that come in so that we can make sure we incorporate that. We also love to hear from you guys, any feedback. So if we provided you with information or content or stuff that helped you, we would love to hear about that. We want to highlight you. We want to be able to kind of put your story out there as well. Even if you want to come on the podcast and share your story of how you overcame or faced the situation and came out on the other side better off because you use available like non-traditional resources to take care of that as well. So it's about making sure that we're highlighting the right information and the stories that will help other people better manage the situation as well.
But no, that's 100% correct, is that it's not about us. It's about what you guys want to hear and about how we can help. So it's kind of like you don't know what you don't know until somebody tells you. And that's what we're waiting for. We're waiting for you guys to tell us what you want to hear.
Yeah. And like I told Donis and Dr. Beck, dementia and mental health don't discriminate. Every family is affected by some form of dementia over time in mental health. So it affects every family. And we're here to provide the resources for every family around the world. Like these two terrible diseases or conditions.
And I think that's one of the conversations that we had sort of prior to going on camera, was that how it affects the family. And, a lot of people don't address that, but I think that's something that we should also consider talking about. If we get some family members on, or they can tell us their story about how this affected them and how they, even more importantly, how they dealt with it, how they overcame it, how they are dealing with it today. This is stuff that, like Ed was saying, you don't know until it hits you. How to, there's no guidebook or there's no sort of manual on what to do in this situation. So I guess that's what we're trying to do, is open up some opportunities for people to understand how to deal with this stuff.
It was one of my family members was a ER physician, and my family member that was diagnosed with dementia sent over what she was planning to do. And he looked at some of the stuff and said it was counterproductive. It might hurt you. And our functional medicine doctor agreed, like it wasn't safe. But if you don't have those resources to tell you that it's not safe, you're basically kind of like as Christopher Columbus, the United States of America, unknown, and you have to figure everything out on the fly.
Yes, exactly.
And you don't have the time to figure it out. That's the sad part. So we're here to try to provide the resources so you can figure it out.
Well said, Ed. Excellent.
Awesome. I just want to remind everybody once again to check out the website, insanegratitude.com. That's where we're going to start putting the information and videos and resources that we come across, as well as future episodes of the podcast. Obviously, we're going to post these episodes and podcasts in all the major podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. So please subscribe and share it with as many people as possible, because we want to make sure that we're supplying these resources to as many people as possible, because as Ed said, dementia and mental health stuff affects every family without discrimination. So help us get the word out, help us get that information to the people that need it. And we hope to see you guys again on the future episodes.
I'm looking very forward to the next podcast, where we're going to really start to get into the meat of all this stuff. So welcome everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.